Good afternoon, everybody. We are starting this instruction course, and this presentation is on etiology, clinical diagnosis, workup, and medical treatment of corneal perforations. Corneal perforations, as we know, is a major cause of ocular morbidity. If we look at the terms, there are different terms applied to this condition, maybe corneal perforation. We may also call it sometimes corneal fistula, but when the condition is prolonged, desmatoseals, impending perforations, pre-perforated ulcers, so many other terms, but clinically or histopathologically, they may be different, but the management principles remain the same. If we look at the etiology, we can have corneal perforations following infective keratitis. They can also occur from following autoimmune disorders in dry eye patients. Patients having chemical injuries, they also develop these problems. Neurotrophic keratitis is again a major problem of corneal perforations. Looking at the etiopathogenesis, we know that it's the inflammatory cells, bacteria, or stromal keratocytes which release the collagenolithic enzymes, and these enzymes, they cause the collagenolysis, leading to keratolysis, thinning, and finally corneal perforation. So corneal perforation is often missed, and we as corneal surgeons are aware that this is a underdiagnosed clinical corneal condition. If we have to diagnose corneal perforation clinically, large corneal perforations, the diagnosis is quite obvious. You have a large corneal perforation, iris is presenting at the site, and diagnosis is clearly written there. But there are cases where there may be just shallowing of anterior chamber, or there may be cases where there may be like corneal hemorrhage. We are treating a case of corneal ulcer and we get hemorrhage. And then there are patients where the AC is well formed and the patient may have filtering desmatocele or radial folds. So for subtle cases, we have to perform Siedel's test. We need to put the patient on slit lamp and put adequate fluorescein solution and then look at the cobalt blue filter. We'll see that the green lake, which is because of the dilution of the dye, because of aqueous, and that clearly confirms the perforation. And sometimes if we are not getting it, we may have to apply slight digital pressure over to the cornea. We may have to work up completely the case. In case if the patient is having surrounding infiltrate or infection, then all complete like microbiological workup is necessary to ascertain the etiology. And in autoimmune diseases, we need to do all immunological workup to ascertain again the cause, whether we are dealing with the peripheral ulcerative keratitis or we are dealing with a Murine ulcer or it is just a Murine-like ulcer. Sometimes patients having dry eye can also present with this condition of keratolysis and corneal perforation. Now, it should be clear to the ophthalmologist that once a corneal perforation occurs, the medical treatment alone may not be sufficient for these patients. So we need some kind of adjunct treatment in the form of either tissue adhesives, depending upon the size of perforation and etiology. And we may apply fibrin glue, then therapeutic penetrating keratoplasty, therapeutic deep anterior lamellar keratoplasty, conjunctival grafts. All these modalities, they can be helpful. And there are some of the examples we have performed these in these cases. It's also important to know that what should not be done in these cases. Now, this lady you can see is an elderly lady and was referred to us from a very well-known center. You see how even the eye is not cleaned. So this should not happen in these days. We don't treat the corneal perforations like that. So we have to clean, see, and if there is actual perforation, and act accordingly. Again, conjunctival flap is very good modality for peripheral non-infective corneal perforations, but not for the patients who have florid infective keratitis, especially fungal in this patient. Again, tarsorrhaphy alone is not the treatment of choice. Pad, patch, or like bandage contact lens alone again will not heal most of the perforations unless it's a very small perforation. In case we do not act at a proper time, we may end up with the complications like retinal detachment, choroidal detachment, exclusion of the lens and vitreous, endophthalmitis, or phthisis bulbi. So to prevent a disaster, we have to diagnose corneal perforations at a proper time, and we have to have the high index of suspicion, we need to confirm the diagnosis and then treat these on emergency basis. Thank you very much for patient hearing.